We are just beginning a class called What We Believe. And during that class, we are hoping to summarize 60 of the major beliefs that we hold as Christians. And each week I'd like to give a summary of the prior week's information, just for those who are tracking along with the class, or maybe even those who aren't able to attend. This first week we looked at 3 major beliefs that we hold regarding the Bible. The first belief is the revelation of Scripture. By the revelation of Scripture, we mean that the source of every verse in the Bible is from the direct revelation of God and from the authority of the God of the universe. Now, although God used many men in different times and in unique ways to pen the words of Scripture, He is indeed the origin, the source, and the guide for all that was ever written. And so there's a summary of the revelation of Scripture. God is the source and the guide for all that was ever written in all the Bible. The second truth that we looked at is the inerrancy of Scripture. And what we mean by the inerrancy of Scripture is that every verse in the Bible is exactly what God intended it to be. There's nothing missing, nothing lacking, there are no errors whatsoever. And although there are many translations and many versions of the Bible in existence today, the original writings themselves that God had those men pen, and in comparison to what we have today via translation, are exactly what God intended us to have. And so that's the inerrancy of Scripture, that the Bible that we have that was authored by God is without fault, without error. And then finally, the third truth that we looked at is the authority of Scripture. And what we mean by the authority of Scripture is that because God is the author of every verse in the Bible, every verse has authority over the life of every human. And although the Bible is simply just another group of words written on pages, collected in book form like many, many other books, it is unique, and it carries a profound and unique spiritual power and authority over mankind granted by God Himself. And we must bring our life in line with that authority. And so that's the third truth that we looked at, the authority of Scripture, and how it has a unique spiritual, divine, God-appointed authority over our lives. Hopefully this was beneficial for you and gave you a brief summary of our class, What We Believe, and the 3 major tenets that we hold regarding the Bible itself.